Same round, same 10 mil auto. One comes out of a 5-inch barrel, the other comes out of 16. So what do you actually gain when you put a pistol cartridge in a carbine? More velocity, flatter shooting. I brought both to the range to find out. Welcome to Sunday Gunday. Before we get to the comparison, you need to know what you're looking at. This is not a stock Ruger LC Carbine. I put about 800 bucks in upgrades into this thing, and I want to walk through each one because they matter for what comes later. First up, the red dot, gold reticle, sits low enough to co-witness with the factory irons. Battery dies, I still have sights, both eyes open, dot on target, go. Next, the trigger, new spring kit and a flat trigger shoe. This is the upgrade that changes how the gun feels. Lighter pull, shorter reset, clean break. When we get to accuracy testing, remember this part. Angled foregrip on the handguard. Keeps your support hand index the same way every time. Matters more during rapid fire than slow precision, and we'll test both. Folding stock adapter, folds the stock 90 degrees for transport, opens up, locks, you're back in business. Practical, not tactical. Thread a barrel. I tested it with a suppressor and pulled it off. On this platform, the extra weight and length didn't add enough value, but the threads are there if I change my mind. And the cerakote was done by Jason at South Branch Armory. I'll link him in the description. The work speaks for itself. Here's the thing about 10 mil. Out of a pistol, you're already in the top tier of semi-auto handgun cartridges. Real world numbers from a 5-inch barrel put it around 1,250 feet per second with a 180 grain load. That's about 625 foot-pounds of energy. Respectable. Now put that same round through a 16-inch carbine barrel. You pick up 200 to 300 feet per second. That same 180 grain load is pushing 1,450 to 1,550. Energy jumps to 850, maybe 900 foot-pounds, depending on the load. Those are published load data numbers for this ammo. If I get chrono time, I'll update the pinned comment with actuals. But the point stands. That's a 35 to 40% increase in energy just from barrel length. The question is whether you can feel it down range. 25 yards. This is where most people shoot a PCC, so it's where we start. 5 rounds, carbine first. Red dot on center, controlled pairs. The trigger makes this almost unfair. Short reset means you're back on target before you finish processing the last shot. Let's see what we got. At 25 yards with a red dot and a decent trigger, that's what you should expect from a carbine. Nothing fancy, just fundamentals and a good setup doing the work. Now the pistol, same distance, same ammo, the Kimber Rapide Dawn, good trigger on this gun too. It's a 1911, so the comparison is as fair as I can make it. 5 rounds, same drill, and look, still good shooting. The Kimber holds its own at this distance, but the carbine tightened things up, and it did it with less effort, less fatigue, less concentration. That matters when you're running strings all day. The real question is, what happens when we push the distance? 50 yards, this is where the carbine starts to separate. Same drill, 5 rounds carbine. At 50 yards, the red dot is doing real work. A pistol's iron sights get crowded at this range, but a dot is a dot at any distance. You're just putting gold on target and pressing. Let's see the group. The barrel length is buying you tighter groups, but honestly, the optic is doing just as much. That co-witness setup earns its money right here. Now the pistol at 50, this is honest work with iron sights and a 5-inch barrel. Not impossible, but you're working for it. Your sight picture is busier, your hold has to be tighter, and every little flinch shows up on paper. You can see the gap. The carbine isn't just more accurate. It's easier to shoot accurately. You don't have to be a better shooter. The platform does the heavy lifting. That's the real difference. Accuracy is one thing. Recoil management is where a carbine earns its keep. 10 mil out of the Kimber is manageable, but it's 10 mil, you know it's there. The muzzle lifts, you reset, you reacquire. Every shot is a conversation with the recoil. You can shoot it well, but you're earning every group. Now watch the carbine. Same round, same load. The extra weight and the longer sight radius flatten everything. The foregrip keeps your support hand planted. Watch the muzzle. It barely moves. Rapid fire is where it really shows. Strings with the carbine feel like shooting a heavy 9. The energy is still there at the target. You're just not wearing it in your hands. Follow-up shots come faster. Splits tighten up. It's a different experience with the same cartridge. And when you're done, fold the stock, drop it in a bag, a 16-inch carbine that fits where a pistol case goes. That's the practical argument for the folding adapter, range day, truck gun, whatever. It goes where you need it. One thing that doesn't get talked about enough, the LC Carbine takes full-size 10mm Glock pattern magazines. Glock 20, Glock 40. Those mags drop right in. Not standard 9mm Glock mags, specifically the full-size 10mm pattern. My Kimber runs its own mags, but the point stands for anyone in the Glock 10mm ecosystem. Same caliber, same magazines, one range bag. Your pistol is your sidearm and your carbine is your primary. You're not juggling two different ammo types. You're not packing two different magazine pouches for home defense, for property, for backcountry. A 10mm pistol paired with a 10mm carbine covers a lot of ground without a lot of complexity. So does a 10mm carbine actually earn its spot over the pistol? Yeah, it does. 35 to 40% more energy, tighter groups at every distance I tested. And recoil that feels like a different caliber. The carbine doesn't replace the pistol. They do different jobs. But if you're only buying one 10mm firearm and you have room for a long gun, the carbine is hard to argue against. The upgrades, $800 in. The trigger is the one I do first. Everything else is convenience. The trigger is performance. If you're running an LC Carbine, drop your build in the comments. I want to see what you're doing with yours. And if you think 10mm is the best PCC caliber or 9mm is still king, fight it out down there.